so fresh.
It's a nice low single there by Taylor. Big finish. That's three. There it is.
And Taylor holds it off. The national champ. The best year ever for Nebraska gets even better.
Needs to deliver the first pitch. Breaking ball that's looped in left field. Gabe Fry to the back. He squeezes it.
Lets it go to the sideline. Big six.
So fresh on the goal line.
Tommy Hill. The short run to the house.
Handoff. Down. Touchdown. His third.
Cornhusker Connection live on a Tuesday evening. Brandon Shanahan joined as always by Tyler Sprinkle. Live on Twitter, on YouTube tomorrow morning, also on Spotify when I remember to upload the recording. So we are on our way. Season finally in the books. Bowl season underway. Nebraska ball's a wagon. Lots of good stuff going on. How are we doing, Tyler Sprinkle?
I'm starting to see the vision a little bit more with Nebraska, so that makes me feel a little bit better.
That's an interesting way to look at the last couple of weeks. Because we had talked about it last week when John Butler had gotten relieved of his duties. And to me, it felt like a lack of vision. Because clearly that there was something that John Butler showed Matt Rhule at some point that would indicate that he's the guy for the defense. Brought him in as a secondary coach, presuming that Tony White would be gone sooner rather than later. Tony White leaves. John Butler gets promoted from within. And for a lot of the season, there was a lot of good things from the defense that had the wheels absolutely fall out from underneath them the last couple of weeks of the season. And kind of going into it, I thought, okay, well, let's run it back another year. Let's see what a whole offseason does with him. Let's see what, I don't know, more than 10 months of Terry Braden does with an up-and-coming young defensive line. You know, let's see what this defense looked like under a full offseason. And that was not what happened at all. John Butler got fired. Today, Terry Braden got let go. So I think I see a vision. It's just a little bit tougher to find than what I thought 2 weeks ago.
So to me, I have a thought process here. So when we decided to let go John Butler, it seemed like Matt Rhule had a guy that he wanted.
I see.
We lost out on him. That sucks. I don't know why the hell he's going to Syracuse.
I don't know if went down like that. I wonder if it was just a mutual agreement. Like we have some guys that we need to stay here. Somebody who's as proven as he is, maybe had a different vision for how he wanted things to go. I have a hard time imagining the guy had similar situations, similar offers from Nebraska and Syracuse, and elected to go to upstate New York.
Oh yeah, I heard that story. Like he wanted to bring his own guys, and Matt Rhule was like, no.
Which then makes sense that they're bringing in a younger guy who maybe isn't so tied to his people.
Yeah. So we move on from John Butler. We immediately have a guy that we want. Didn't work out, whatever. We hired another guy, and I'm pretty excited about him. Young guy, like you said, turned around SDSU pretty quick into a pretty good defense. Granted, it's not Power 4, so we'll see what that looks like. We move on from Mr. Raiola. Immediately fill that position because it seemed like we had a guy that we wanted, and we got that guy.
Exactly the vibe that I
So it seems like we are moving on from these people because Matt Rhule has a guy that he wants badly. And right now for the defensive line, what's his name?
Rob Orich.
Yes. No. The defensive line coach.
Oh, Gep. Gep?
Nope, that's offensive line.
So
What
many
the
new
hell is his name?
faces.
So we haven't hired him yet, but Matt Rhule seemingly really wants him. So I guess my point here is it seems like we have a plan. We're not just doing things to do things. We're not just reacting. Like when Tony White left, it seemed like it was a big reaction, like, oh shit, here you go, John Butler. I know it didn't happen quite that way. Like there was some time in between that, but it felt like it was oh shit, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Can't remember his name. I think right now he's tied to LSU to go be their D-line
Oh,
coach.
yeah. I know.
But it seems like that's not certain right now. So it just seems like we have a plan, and Matt Rhule has guys that he really wants, and he's going out and getting those guys instead of trying to be loyal to whoever.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, especially in the timing of everything, particularly with the Donovan Raiola hire or fire, and then his immediate replacement. Because you saw them let go of John Butler almost right away. Like, let's not even before signing day. Like, let's make sure that these guys know what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And with Donovan, it really did feel like we have our guy in mind if that's the way we want to go, if that's the way the chips fall. If not, all right, we'll run it back. The offensive line I thought got a lot better as the season progressed. I thought he's obviously a quality recruiter. It's just a matter of developing these guys now. But it's like, okay, well, if we can go get this guy, see ya.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
And this, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this was our first choice. It wasn't, and that's clear. But I think this guy has a better chance at being really freaking good as opposed to John Butler that seemingly hit his ceiling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because to me, in just pure hypotheticals here, it seems like if you're gonna bring in a guy and kind of let him figure it out on the job, you'd rather go with somebody who's got maybe a little bit of a higher ceiling
Mm-hmm.
and somebody who maybe is just jonesing for that next opportunity. And I appreciate a lot of the things that John Butler did, but I was like, well, he's already been a Big Ten defensive coordinator before. That didn't work out very well. And then the defense didn't play very well. Didn't seem like they were playing with any effort down the stretch there. And, let's bring in some guy with more energy. Even if the scheme and the development takes some time to reach the full potential, let's figure that out with this guy instead of Johnny B.
Yeah, I feel like we have a direction, and that's something I wasn't really sure of when we fired John Butler. So I'm feeling better.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like these moves, and I like the urgency because I feel like so often in just football in general, you get these guys who come in and they're so sure that it's going to work itself out that they let it bleed out slowly.
Yeah.
Where it's like, gosh, if we got to evaluate. You hear coaches talk all the time about, oh, we got to evaluate everything, but then they sit on their hands a lot of times. And it doesn't feel like there's any hand sitting on this time.
Yeah. You also have to get this done before the portal opens.
Right.
You have to act fast. If you're going to do it, you got to do it quick. And not after the bowl game. Like you gotta make sure all this is set in stone so people can really take a look at your school and consider if they're going to come or not.
Yeah. But we got to get to know Rob Orich, the new Orich. Unclear on his name pronunciation. We'll get it right at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Even the SEC folks, like this tweet was out from November, and the work that he did at San Diego State, and very impressive. Took over a defense that was going from 29 points per game to less than 2 touchdowns a game last year. And he's very young, if you're going to poo-poo on this, you're going to say, well, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience, a few years at Idaho, and then 1 year at San Diego State. How does that translate to getting this big caliber Big Ten job? And that's a fair critique, but if you're going to roll the dice on somebody who you think could be a rising star, this is the guy who fits that bill to a T. And hard to find any information on him. Doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, but I did find an article from when he got promoted in San Diego State. He was a defensive line coach first year under Sean Lewis, and then got promoted to last year. And I thought that was pretty telling. Sean Lewis had mentioned that they were looking big national search, had a couple guys that they felt good about, and then after sitting down with him and hearing him break down all 12 games of the Aztecs that year, talked about each individual players and where they could get better and what his vision would be with them. Said it seemed like a home run to just promote from within, and it seemed to do just that. I have a hard time imagining he would have been at San Diego State long even if Nebraska hadn't swooped in on him. 112 points scored throughout a season, third in yards per play, 6 in total defense, third in touchdowns, just everything that you want, everything that would tag you like this guy's a rising superstar in the coaching world is this guy. And I'm juiced about it.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I love that we took the initiative. We did what we had to do. Did the hard things, got it done. We got a guy. Let's go.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, some other notable changes as well. Offensive line getting a new updates, and then more than anything, just aggression, like we talked about, trying to find some information on Mr. Elijah Robinson from LSU. They
That's his name. Yes.
Talked about him. He was somebody that Lane Kiffin wanted to keep around, but now he's looking around, which is very promising. Again, if you can upgrade like this, great. I am curious on what they thought of Terry Braden, because you bring him in very late in the offseason last year because it was with the Chiefs. Unfortunately, had a run to the Super Bowl, and in less than 10 months later, he's gone after dealing with a very young, inexperienced defensive line. Again, it seems like it has to be something where they have a brighter and deeper vision.
Yeah. And I wonder if a lot of these things comes down to like recruiting. If he's bringing in big recruits because of who he is, and we're hoping that we can flip some of these recruits because he's here, that makes sense. I don't necessarily like getting rid of Terry so quickly, but there had to be something there that Matt Rhule saw that he didn't like. You don't just fire a guy just to fire him. This does also tell me that I feel like Matt Rhule is kind of feeling the seat get a little hot.
He's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, so he's going all in.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that
Yeah.
he knows that what happened this year wasn't good enough, that he sees this year as missed opportunity, and the way the schedule shapes up next year, you can't go into next year can't go into the off season after next year feeling the same way.
Oh boy, I just started thinking about this schedule next year. Yikes, man.
Well, we do have some football ahead of time. Nebraska officially getting pegged to the Las Vegas Bowl against Utah. Hard to draw up a seemingly worse matchup for what Utah is going to want to do and what they are very good at doing, and what Nebraska is bad at stopping. I envision Utah as like imagine Iowa, but better coached and with more dynamic skilled players.
You know what though? With a new defensive coordinator who hopefully can see that, hey, our defensive line is not the best, so maybe we send an extra guy or 4 to stop the run. Who knows? Maybe it'll be better.
Well, and that's where my, you know me, I'm always going to paint the brightest picture and look at how things are at the brightest timeline. Where I'm at optimistically is what we saw the last 2 games against Penn State and Iowa wasn't just that those teams were so much better than Nebraska that they were able to run the table with us. It's just, and Matt Rhule even said this: the effort wasn't there, the energy wasn't there defensively. Even if you can refresh that room a little bit and get some guys in there, I know Eckler and Snow were running the defense for the bowl game. If you can inject some of that energy and get to the point where they were towards the beginning of the year, where they were still giving up 5-6 yards a carry, but with that kind of energy, it turns it into a rock fight, which Nebraska's proven that they can win in the past. And that is where my optimism lies. Like, if they can just get back to that point where if you're going to score a touchdown on Nebraska, you're going to have to do it 13 plays. It's going to take you 7 minutes to get down the field. You're not going to be able to throw it. You're going to have to take your 5 yards and run it back, and then 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 hope that you get into the end zone from there. And that, to me, is a winning formula. And if we can get back to that, I feel much better about where this game can be.
I'm in. You talking me into it? Let's do it.
Let's go. Nebraska open as a 8.5-point dog, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's trending towards double digits, which is that's about where I would peg it. Unfortunately, that's where things are. But I mean, Utah's they're not going to make it easy, and this is last opportunity to go into the offseason with any type of momentum after absolutely having pissed in your socks the last couple of games.
I just need a competitive game out of Nebraska. I don't expect us to win this game. I just need it to be competitive. That's it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 7 and 6 would feel a lot different than 8 and 5.
Yeah.
So I do want them to win. I want them to win so bad.
Oh, I want them to win really bad too, but I'm not expecting it. They can't hurt me again.
They can hurt. I've also got another show that covers the Big 12 specifically, and I've done a lot of pointing and laughing at Utah since they joined the Big 12. So this feels like it could be a torture.
So this is your fault.
It could be
your fault.
It could be.
I'll keep that in mind.
Could be. If nothing else, it's going to make for just an absolute toxic couple of weeks on Twitter leading up to this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that. The discourse will not be boring, which may have been the case last year against Boston College. Well, some more big news around college football. We have the 12 that are going to be making the college football playoff. A lot of those teams we kind of knew that how the bracket was going to shape up. Shout out to Duke for doing the thing that we talked about, that we hoped for. They took down Virginia and was a barn burner of a game, and almost completely screwed the ACC of getting no bids. Luckily, Miami had a good enough of a resume, and that went over Notre Dame at the beginning of the year, got them in. And Alabama, they also participated in their conference championship game. They almost had 0 rushing yards, so they were right there. You could feel how close they were to getting into that positive total for rush yards. And then Notre Dame gets the short stick there, takes their ball and go home. Did you have any major thoughts about the bracket and how that shaped up?
Do you remember last week when I said if the committee wants to get up and say F you to Notre Dame because they're not in a conference? They kind of did.
It feels like that, at least.
They kind of did. Without so many words, they kind of said F you if you want to actually make the college football playoff, get in a damn conference. Good for them. Good for them not getting bullied. And then them pouting, saying we're not going to play in your Pop-Tart Bowl. Yikes. Yikes.
Bad optics would... Yeah, I can't. I heard somebody defend it. I'm like, oh, well, at least they have like these championship standards, and I don't think there is defending it.
That's only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
You're only hurting your team because you're missing out on an extra month of practice. because you want to take your ball and go home.
An extra month in practice, and that is the best opportunity to get eyeballs on your program.
Yeah.
I know you want it to be in the CFP, and I think that you deserve to be in the CFP. You may not be wrong there, but like that is a premier bowl. It feels silly to call the Pop-Tarts Bowl premier, but that is what it is. You get matched up with BYU, who they're going to bring in. And if nothing else, like football is a fun game. Like that's what these guys have dedicated their lives towards. The thought of them being like, oh, we have an opportunity to play a football game and to practice football for a few more weeks. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's for us. That's yucky energy.
If Florida State, who actually got screwed over, goes out there and plays their bowl game, and you're Notre Dame, who really didn't get screwed over, you just got the short end of the stick because you lost to one of the teams that's on your graphic, that's just crybaby shit. Grow up.
Yeah. I do want to point out the obvious work from the playoff committee to make this conversation about Notre Dame v. Miami, so we wouldn't talk about them versus Alabama and their resume. Because I looked into it. There's no, and now granted, 2 years, minor sample size. No team has made the college football playoff as an at-large bid that has even close to as bad of a loss as Alabama v. Florida State week 1 this year, and nobody gave any weight to that whatsoever.
Well, it's because they made their conference championship. If they didn't make that championship game, I don't think that they're in.
Yeah, I mean that's how the cookies crumble, and give the committee credit. If there's one thing that they've proven is that you cannot get punished for losing your conference championship game when it comes to the playoff rankings. Well, except for Ohio State, BYU, Virginia, North Texas, SMU, Penn State, Iowa State, UNLV, Texas, Louisville, Iowa, Oklahoma State, Oregon, and Georgia, who all got dinged for losing in their conference championship games in one way or the other. But Alabama, they beat the allegations, I guess. So good on them.
Good on them.
Yep, every team that's lost their conference championship game has been dinged in some way, shape, or form. Alabama.
So I have a few things to say about this here list. Virginia and BYU had to win to get in. Like they weren't. Okay, I'll say for sure Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to win to get in.
Right.
Like they weren't even close to a lock before the conference championship game. So it's a little disingenuous for people to sit there and say, oh, well, Virginia lost their title game and they got dinged. Well, that's just silly.
Well, yeah, they went from 17 to 19. Like
yeah.
they weren't.
I mean, same with
that.
North Texas. Yeah. Like, and yeah, you get some movement, right? Because some people, they win their championship and they move up. So obviously somebody has to move down. I'm more so talking about going from being in the playoff to being out of the playoff. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and
they're not going to punish you and take you out of the playoff because you lost your conference championship game.
But is that how it's supposed to be? Because it's, in theory, the College Football Playoff Committee isn't picking the 12 teams to make the College Football Playoff. They're ranking the top 25 teams. And then the playoff is decided based on that. Where, you're right, it does feel like that they were like, well, we can't drop Alabama so far down that they have to face consequences for it. When that doesn't feel like it's their job. And again, it wouldn't have taken them to drop more than a spot or two for them to then be out of the playoffs. So it did feel like they made a conscious decision, like, oh, well, we want to avoid the consequence of this happening, so we're not going to move them in our rankings.
I suppose. But then, like, Ohio State being on this list, like, people beat the Notre Dame, or the Miami beat Notre Dame drum so hard. But did you want them to keep Ohio State at number 1 when they lost to number 2?
No.
right?
No.
So some of these numbers are very silly on this list. A lot of them are.
Yeah, and I see what you mean. But it is just interesting because out of all those teams on this list, Ohio State got bumped down a spot, BYU got bumped down a spot, Virginia got bumped down 2 spots. What was it about the Alabama game against Georgia? And you can even take it back to the last month for Alabama. They lose to Oklahoma. They need a last-second fumble to beat Auburn. And then they go out and get blown out by Georgia, where credit where credit's due. They almost had positive rushing yards. We talked about that. Like what about that performance would warrant them to not get dinged whatsoever?
Listen, I understand that there's a clear SEC bias. I get it. But I feel like a lot of this is just people wanting to be mad at something, so they're going to find anything to be mad at. Like, who's honestly okay? Who would you rather have in there than Alabama?
Miami, Notre Dame, and BYU.
So Miami's in.
Yep.
Why Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, you could push me on this a little bit. They don't have as bad of a loss as Alabama does. Though their floor is much higher, I think.
But they also have a way better win than Notre Dame does.
That they do.
BYU, who do they beat this year? Utah.
It blew out the 15th ranked Utes, and they did not get blown out by a 5-7 Florida State team. Same kind of argument for them.
Fair.
A little bit
That's fair.
more valid, I
But
think,
then,
because they have a better win than Notre Dame does.
But then they get dog walked twice by Texas Tech.
By the number
And
4
they're
team
not.
in the country.
And they're not in the SEC. I don't like the SEC bias just as much as everybody else hates them. I get it. I understand that. I'm not trying to grandstand for the SEC. BYU doesn't have the same resume as Alabama does. They don't. You can argue that they have a worse loss than BYU does. That's fair. But they also don't have as good a win as Alabama does.
And you can sell me on that. Yeah, that's my big things. I've seen the worst of Alabama and I've seen the worst of BYU. And those are two very, like, to me, the gap between beating Georgia the way that Alabama beat Georgia and BYU beating Utah the way that they beat Utah is a much smaller gap than BYU losing to the 4th ranked team in the country and Alabama getting run out of the stadium by a team that would have otherwise had 4 wins.
Sure.
Like, that gap seems astronomical compared to the best win gap.
Well, the best part about that, Brandon, is there's a chance. Well, actually, can you pull up the bracket again?
I sure can.
Please. We might be able to see it in the final. Georgia versus Texas Tech. See who's better. Put all this Alabama and BYU noise to bed.
I guess what I would be looking forward to is I think there's a genuine chance that the SEC wins 0 games against teams outside of the SEC. I think that there's a better chance that they win one of those games. Because Georgia's really good. Georgia's a wagon. Yeah. They look like they're in tip-top shape compared to where they were when they lost to Alabama. But Alabama-Oklahoma is going to be a rock fight based on the way those two teams are playing. One of those SEC teams has to advance. That's just how it goes.
Math, yeah.
Ole Miss against Tulane. Ole Miss is a heavy favorite there. Then they go play Georgia. I don't like A&M against Miami. And I don't like either Alabama or Oklahoma against Indiana whatsoever. So if this is what has to happen for us to realize that the SEC isn't as good as the SEC folks think that they are, I'm here for it. I will sacrifice BYU and Notre Dame for that evidence.
It's starting to turn. It is starting to turn. It just the old people that run. It's like the old people that run the country, right? It's not going to change until they're dead. That just is what it is.
So we have to find a way to assassinate Greg Sankey, is what you're saying.
Whoa,
I wasn't going to
whoa,
go that
whoa,
far,
whoa.
but if that's where
Hold on.
this
Pump the brakes.
conversation,
Didn't say that.
you said nothing's going to change until they're dead. I'm just using your words here. If that's what you think has to happen, then so be it.
When I said dead, I meant like when they retired. They're no longer in the position. The position that they are in is dead, right? Then it will start to change. But right now, this is just the world that we live in.
I think it's awesome.
And you can be mad about it, or you can look at this bracket and be so excited because there's a lot of really good games on here.
That's a good way to look at it. Just one final angry old man yelling at the clouds. I do think we're going to see this starting next year when the SEC goes to 9 conference games. Because a lot of
it's going to be
10-win
chaos.
teams turns into 9-win teams, and you know how that goes.
Yeah.
You saw that in the Big Ten this year. Thought that USC, Michigan could be playoff teams, and they pick up a second and a third Big Ten loss, and you know how that goes. Now they're out. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the goalposts don't get moved, but I do want to circle back to your last point because there is a lot of good football. You're right. I have been angry and yelling at the clouds since Sunday. Now let's look at this bracket and talk about how great it's going to be because these are a lot of good games. Miami A&M is going to be a banger. Alabama and Oklahoma is going to be a banger. And then the 2 group of 5 teams, who knows? We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that was crazy when I said I think Tulane might have a shot?
I don't think that's crazy at all. I don't think that's crazy whatsoever. I think, you know what is crazy? I saw this today. Ole Miss is allowing some of the assistants that Lane took with him to LSU
Come back? Yeah.
to come back.
But they wouldn't let Lane coach, huh?
That's crazy to me. Because I felt like a crazy person for thinking it wouldn't be that crazy for Lane Kiffin to finish out this run at Ole Miss.
No.
Because UNT's doing
especially
it
with the
Eric
bonuses
Morris.
that he gets.
Yeah, and he's going to get those bonuses regardless if he's there or not, which is crazy. And then the team that they're playing, John Summerall, he's going to Florida. And I justified it because, like, okay, well, if he's going to LSU, then all right, whatever. You got to send him out the door. But then they're bringing everybody else back except for Lane, which that feels crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like with all the turmoil that's going on at Ole Miss right now, I don't know if it's that crazy to think that Tulane, who looks like they're playing some really good ball right now.
They're good.
I mean, I don't know.
Because another part of this discourse is the crankiness about 2 group of 5 teams getting in. And, yeah, they got in on a loophole, whatever. But that's not their fault.
No.
Make better tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Also, don't have your premier brands be dog shit. Like, I was thinking, like, could this same scenario happen in the Big Ten? Could the same scenario happen in the SEC? No. Because they have too many
You
good
have intelligent
teams.
people.
Well, because you have too many good teams. Like, you're not going to have your Florida States, your Clemsons, you're not going to have these teams be this bad all at the same time. That would never happen in the Big Ten. Would never happen in the SEC. It might happen in the Big 12 one day, but we're not there yet. And, like, yeah, this isn't how the bracket was designed, but let's also not go moving the goalposts and changing the rules just because we don't like the result of it every time.
There's always going to be a new rule after one of these.
I can't wait to see what type of dramatic change happens for some type of overreaction that comes from this.
They didn't put a team like Arizona State or Boise State as one of the top 4 seeds, so progress.
I still think you should be rewarded for winning your conference championship game.
Absolutely.
I think
but it would be so hard for me to sit here and say Ohio State should not be the number 2 seed.
Yeah, So I'll walk back
So
some
hold on,
sentiment
hold
that
on,
I
hold on.
had.
Are you, hold on.
So
Are you gonna sit here and tell me that Tulane should be in the number 2 seed over Ohio State?
that
Is that what you're gonna tell me?
I don't think. Okay, so I had the sentiment coming into conference championship weekend that the Indiana Ohio State game is going to be the marquee matchup that we see, not
It
matter
was
whatsoever.
such a good game too.
And that was a
Egg
good
on
game.
your face, Brandon.
Egg on
Egg
my
on your
face.
face.
That
That
was
was
awesome.
such a good game.
That was great. I don't think any team held back in any significant manner. But that game would have mattered a little bit more if a first round bye was on the line.
But the teams are so good. So you sit here with that logic, you're sitting here saying whatever you did in the regular season does not matter at all. Nope, doesn't
I mean,
matter.
it doesn't not
Get to your
matter.
conference championship, and oh, you lose that? Well, now you're the 11th seed. I mean, come on.
Okay, so let's play because I think my perfect playoff format is 4 best conference champions get their byes, and then you reseed after the first round.
But
So
they've already proven that they will not reseed. They
why?
just won't do it.
I know they.
I don't
won't.
know if they can't just like do it. If their brains don't work that way, they don't have the brain power to do that. But it just won't happen.
Does the NFL still reseed every round?
Yes,
Okay.
because they have people that run it. Actually, they don't have a bunch of old people that sit in a room with a bunch of TVs on the floor.
Yeah. And so that would have put Ohio State at the 5 seed. They play JMU. And then they play the 4 seed? When you play Texas Tech? Like, that's not an unfavorable draw.
I have no problem whatsoever with Ohio State being the number 2 seed. No.
And how it played out, I don't have a big stink about it either. I do think this format's better than the 16 team that we're going to go to eventually. But I wish conference championship games mattered more. Is all I'm saying.
Dude,
And now, granted, they don't matter.
I can't win with you. I can't win with
They
you.
don't matter less than nearly as less as I thought that they would. So
Yeah.
you're right. Egg on my face. That game was awesome. Clearly mattered to both teams, especially after seeing Mendoza get his teeth kicked in on that first play and then come right back in. I was like, oh, here we go. After seeing your quarterback get hit like that in a meaningless game, you're going to send him back out there? They did.
You're also telling me that the Big 12 championship didn't matter with how Texas Tech came out there and just kicked the shit out of BYU? Like, yeah, it wasn't a good game because BYU stinks and they should not be in the playoff. But it still seemed to be really important to Texas Tech.
It did. That is.
And I would say the same thing about Georgia, Alabama. Like, if you don't care, you're not holding them to -3 rushing yards. You're not.
Unless Alabama's just that bad.
Yes.
But you're right. You're right. Everything
be.
that I was worried would happen did not happen. And this is not the way that the bracket fell that would give my case a whole lot of merit.
Yeah.
Because I do
Now,
think
if
the
we
gap
start
between
seeing-
these 4 teams and Oregon at 5 is significant.
Yeah. Yeah. But now if we start seeing like NBA numbers be put up in these games, it's like 72-60, then yeah, they don't matter. Nobody really cares. You know?
Yeah. There's nothing I saw this weekend that would indicate that we're trending towards that. Like I had yelled at the clouds, and I had compared it to those natural disaster movies where the scientist is banging the drum like this really bad thing is going to happen, and nobody listens to him. Except this time it's just a man with schizophrenia.
Yep.
So.
And you're actually talking to nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
You're in
much.
a dark room by yourself, just scratching into the wall. Like, look at my whiteboard, and it's just you with your fingernail scratching into the paint.
Yeah.
Then the lights turn on, and nobody's been in there the whole time.
That would be a crazy way to end one of those movies. Like, Don't Look Up, except it's just Leonardo DiCaprio in a padded room.
Yeah.
I go, just don't look up, don't look up. Yeah, but this is, like I said, this is not the bracket that would give my case any merit. That is just the one tweak I would make,
Mhm.
because I do think, especially as we work, because the playoffs going to get expanded at some point. But when you don't have things like buys, I think that discredits excellence. Like, what is the point of being one of the top 2, 3, 4 teams in the country if you're just going to end up in the same situation, a little bit less favorable of a matchup come playoff time?
Well, then I think you, instead of doing like having 4 teams on a bye, you do just 2, the top 2, and they're on either side of the bracket,
You could talk me
and
into
they
that.
both get bye. Similar to how the NFL does it, right? So the 2 number 1 seeds in the AFC and NFC, they both get byes. Everybody else has to play.
Yeah, you could talk me into that. I would be much more on board with that than it's just a straight 16 team. But we'll see how it goes. More games mean more inventory for the suits, and that's what matters. That's all that matters.
Yep. And more content for the podcast. So.
That's right. Because I mean, if this was a perfect format, we wouldn't have anything to talk about the last 20 minutes.
Yes. And I wouldn't have to yell at you so much.
Yeah. But 1,000 feet away, I love this playoff.
It's going to be so good.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Really, really good.
Those quarterfinals are going to be bangers. All of them. Oregon, Texas Tech, Indiana getting another bye week. That'll be cool.
OU.
Georgia and maybe Tulane. Again, it just takes one of these Group of 5 teams to pull it off, to justify.
Yeah.
Because now I'm starting to see a lot of sentiment. Like, why do we give any of these spots in? If a team like
and
Notre
you almost
Dame
saw it
sitting
last
at
year,
home?
though.
Yeah.
It was so close. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And both of them. Boise State and Arizona State played, their respective opponents really, really tough.
Yeah. Like, the gap is not as big as it once be.
No.
If you were to have the same format pre-NIL, all right. It's going to be SEC heavy. I get it. But that's not the world we live in these days. Times are changing.
Yep. Also, JMU might just be like a powerhouse program.
What if they are?
What if they are the D1 equivalent to that one JUCO school that was really, really good? They got in a lot of trouble. What if they're like Iowa Western, but for D1? There we go. It's their first stop. You go ball out, and then you go to a big school.
I mean, they got Sunbelt Billy back in the helm starting next year.
That's right.
Which, by the way, coaching
Wagon.
carousel has continued. I don't think we got to talk about that. We did a lot of pointing and laughing at Penn State, and they just took Matt Campbell away from me. So that was a bummer.
Yep. What was it, 3 hours before you said, hey, I can't wait to see this press conference? And then you did see a press conference, but it was...
Campbell extension would hit like crack.
Yeah. Not what you wanted.
No, that was not great. As a very pro Iowa State supporter, to see him get pushed like that. But I mean, great fit. And the thing that sucks about this is that it was a disastrous coaching search, and then they fall ass backwards into, I think, one of the better candidates that they could have gone for all along. I think Matt Campbell is going to be such a good fit there, and that's a bummer.
He's just not the splash hire.
Well, and it almost
It's
worked
not a
out.
sexy name.
It almost worked out perfectly for that, because I think if they had hired Matt Campbell out the jump, it would have been met with a lot of skepticism and a lot of, oh, he's not a big guy. Oh, he didn't even win a conference championship at Iowa State, blah, blah, blah. But seeing how it played out and the expectations get brought back down to reality, I got to see a lot of positive Penn State fans, which pisses me off.
They're hiding their tears. They're just thankful that they have a head coach.
Oh, my gosh. If I'm a Penn State fan, I got to be over the moon. And I don't know if that's true, but
how could you look at anything that they've been saying about how they're such a good program and how anybody should be happy to come here, to now they're basically scraping the bottom of the barrel? Not that I dislike Matt Campbell, but that's kind of what it seemed like they're doing. Well, I guess we better get this guy. nobody else wanted to come here. I guess we better get this guy.
Yeah, I mean, could be worse. Could have done a
Could
lot
be
worse
worse.
than Matt Campbell.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it puts a bow onto the coaching carousel. It was very entertaining in some ways, kind of lackluster in some other ways. Because you see this domino effect a lot. Like when Nick Saban retired and they took Washington's coach, you took Arizona's coach, you took, so we didn't see a whole lot of big jobs come open. And even the ones that did, like Iowa State, they filled that right away.
So fast.
They announced their head coach quicker than
Before
Penn
Matt
State.
Campbell even left
Yeah,
the building.
before he even got.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said to you. I said is Iowa State a bigger job because they had no problem filling that role.
So their athletic director Jamie Pollard gets a lot of flack in Iowa State land, and this was a big magnifying glass to that, because if it comes down to money, you have a athletic director who is so adamantly against increasing revenue by selling alcohol in the stadium, and then you lose a coach to another job. But he's kind of a freak at hiring coaches. 'Cause he hired Fred Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg then went to the NBA, upgraded with Coach Oz at Iowa State now, and now with Matt Campbell leaving, like, if this coach hits in that same kind of way, like, guy's a freak. So, like, credit where
Yeah, how are
credit's
the
due.
in-laws feeling?
Well, after they told me that Matt Campbell definitely was not leaving, I haven't gotten to circle back to that. I imagine they're talking themselves into it. It's a good question.
As any good fans do.
Yeah, as any good fans do. But I think they'll be fine. This Rodgers guy seems like it's always interesting to tell what the fan base that he's leaving has to say about it. And there's a lot of cranky Washington State fans. Now, they just might be cranky about the state of college football and what that's done to their program more than anything, but they were not thrilled to see the news. Which is also very funny to see what's going on in South Carolina right now, because they just hired Kendall Briles from TCU, and TCU fans are ecstatic that he's gone.
Yeah.
And South Carolina fans are now skeptical. They're like, wait a minute, why are you guys so happy that we just took your coach?
I mean, we did the same thing with Satterfield.
That's exactly right.
Everybody's like, dude, what the hell are you talking about?
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
I talked myself into that pretty hard, didn't I?
You even talked me into it.
I did. I was like, oh, well, he's got Jeff Sims, so he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I've been telling you it was never Jeff Sims' fault. He's balling out.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He had 4 turnovers last week against Arizona.
Dude, you and your turnovers. Like, dude, there are more things to life than turnovers.
He does look a lot better at Arizona State than he did at Nebraska.
That's right.
That is a very low bar to clear, but he has cleared it. So credit where credit's due. And maybe if they win that game, maybe they're playing in Vegas with us. But don't have to worry about that. At 124 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So.
Also, how the hell do we pull Utah in a bowl game?
It's fascinating because they're not pulling from the Big 12. They're pulling from the Pac-12. So
Got it.
The only Pac-12 team to make the college football playoff was Oregon. So then it trickles down to USC, and then Utah's probably next up.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be a good gauge on good opportunity for momentum.
Or running straight to a brick wall, getting knocked down.
I'm just imagining, like, what happens if Utah does what Iowa did to us, and just the miserable offseason.
Mm-hmm.
That would
It's possible.
It's very possible. Some might say likely. Well, we hit on the playoff. Not the only football games that are going on between now and then. We got bowl games. The Big Ten.
Shall we wait? Shall we wait? Should we save this?
We can go through these real quick. A couple of
All right.
bangers. Michigan, Texas. Oddly enough, neither of those teams took their ball and went home like Notre Dame did.
Oh,
Um,
bullshit that Penn State gets the Bad Boy Mower Bowl. Should have been ours again.
what they it could have been. It could have been. So the Pinstripe Bowl, they've gone on a mission to feature a new team every single year. And so now they've kind of Penn State kind of fell into their lap. But, Penn State, Clemson, a postseason matchup that we probably could have pegged at the beginning of the season. Maybe not in the Bronx, but thought we were going to get a Heisman showdown between Heisman candidates Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller. Maybe the winner gets the number 1 overall pick. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. But it's so funny to see those two teams who had basically the same exact season with the same exact expectations end up in the same bowl game. I think that's fun. But
Kind of crazy.
That'll be interesting.
Michigan and Texas are playing at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday.
They are, just as God intended. Iowa Vanderbilt's going to be just the most dreadful hate watch of my life.
Oh wait, this is soon. Damn, I forgot they started bowl games so early.
December 13th.
Washington, Boise State on the 13th. My
What is
goodness.
that, Saturday?
Yeah.
Dang.
Damn. Yeah, Saturday.
That's a good one to start off with.
Wait.
Yeah,
there's
that's Saturday.
more bowl games?
We gotta look into that.
Saturday.
USC TCU will be fun. I'm excited for that one. Illinois, Tennessee. I mean, a lot of favorable matchups for the Big Ten, all in all.
Let's see. Oh, that's the Army-Navy game as well. I forgot. That's kind of horse shit.
Yeah, I thought there was a week between that and bowl games.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we're just going to get this in as soon as possible.
Yeah, let's just knock this out. So
Let's get this one over with.
Yeah, so Boise State, Washington's the only one on Saturday. And then it goes down to Troy and, oh my gosh, I can't figure out this screen share. It is what it is. And then it turns into, Troy versus Jacksonville State, Old Dominion, South Florida. And all those matchups until Friday the 19th when the playoff starts. Bama and Oklahoma. Again.
Damn, this starts fast. Holy shit.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Like, it makes sense, right? You got to get all these games in before, when's the championship game? Like January 10th or something? So it makes sense that they got to get these in started. It always sneaks up on me. Damn.
Yeah. I love it. I love football. I'm happy.
10 days from now, we're going to be ripping Oklahoma, Alabama.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. The biggest thorn in my agenda would be Alabama winning that game.
I'm rooting for Oklahoma. I have them in the football playoff or the college football pool that we're in. So
how's that shaping up?
I'm in first place. I have 83 points, and I think in second is Luke with 73.
Oh, okay. So you just got to run out the clock.
I have 3 college football playoff teams, and he has 2 or 1 maybe.
So do you get extra points if they're in the playoffs?
Yep.
Okay,
So you get points for winning your conference championship, which I had 2, almost 3. Jacksonville State would have beat Kennesaw State. And then every round you get an extra point. You get extra points for winning. I think it's like 4 extra points for winning. So.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know if it would be tiered like that, or if it would be better off just to have a bunch of like favored bowl teams instead of having a couple of playoff teams. But that's good.
Because theoretically, now I have 6 extra games potentially.
That's true.
To get points for, instead of just 3.
That's true.
So.
All right, Tyler Sprinkle. It's Tuesday nights.
One last question.
What do you got?
Are you going to go to the Oklahoma game?
Am I going to go to the Oklahoma game?
mean, you've done crazier.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry, Kat. I didn't mean to.
I don't think that's feasible. The Cotton Bowl's on the table. Cotton Bowl's always on the table. Ohio State
Always.
versus either Miami and A&M. We'll see how that shapes
That
up.
one's gonna be expensive, I bet.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
What do they scroll down a little bit? What is that looking like? I wonder if they even have them up. Probably not, right? Since the
So they have the Cotton Bowl tickets up. Those are already like mid 200s. I imagine
that's
that'll
not bad.
skyrocket. I mean, it's like buying stonks. You just gotta get in at the right time.
Yep.
Because always going to go up as soon
Buy
as
low.
the matchup gets posted, and then after that it kind of
Yeah.
comes back down to earth, and then it ramps right back up right after kickoff. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's about where Oklahoma, Alabama is right now, 247 for those tickets. Oh my God, what a banger that would be! And you get that home field crowd to it.
Yep. It's not too far. It's not too far.
Definitely doable. No. We're already pinching pennies.
I look forward to seeing the pictures when you're at
Oh
there,
my
when you're at the game.
We'll see how that cookie crumbles. We'll see how this weekend goes. Let's see if we can find a home to live in first.
All right.
All right, Tyler. Any final thoughts? College football, life, wisdom, private equity in college football now.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.